Welcome to Eagles and Airwaves, voices and topics from the Thompson Valley High School Eagles.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Game Corner. I'm Kason, the host, and this podcast I talk about all sorts of games. Today, last time I talked about Inscription, which is a card game, a roguelike deck builder card game. And today I'll be talking about one of my favorite strategy board games of all time. Now, the name of this strategy board game is called Diplomacy. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's pretty popular at some places. But it is a 7-player, world domination kind of board game. And so, I'll start with a naming of the countries. It is set at the turning of the 20th century, so 1900s. And the countries that you can play as are Turkey, Russia, Italy, Austria-Hungary, Germany, France, and England. In this board game, your goal is to either agree with all remaining players on a draw or gain 18 supply centers. There are 36 supply centers across the entire board, and every country starts with 3, with the exception of Russia, which starts with 4. The reason why I enjoy Diplomacy so much is that it is a strategy game that is tabletop that involves 0 luck. There are no dice. It's all based on how well you can talk to other people and convince them to not attack you or convince them to attack other people. Now, Kason, you may be asking me, that sounds awful. Why would anybody ever want to play that? And to that, I respond, usually the people I force to play with me don't want to play it. However, usually it ends fine. I will leave research on how long the game takes up to you, in case you are interested. I will say it is longer than most tabletop strategy board games like Risk. And that is usually where people are like, I really don't want to play Diplomacy. And I mean, to that, I kind of agree with them because I also am not I'm a fan of sitting at a table for multiple hours staring at a board. But, that doesn't really fit into a lot of people's agendas for what they want to do. Anyway, I don't really know what else to talk about for the board for Diplomacy. Talk about why I liked it, what it is. I guess I can go a little bit into the rules. The rules of Diplomacy are, they sound very complicated, but they're actually quite easy in retrospect. So in Diplomacy, there are 2 types of units, land units and fleet units. Land units can only go into provinces. They can't go across into water, and fleet units can only go on bordering countries. Like, for instance, let's say you're playing as England and you had a fleet in the English Channel. You could land it in Picardy, for example. Or like Belgium or Holland. Well, Holland doesn't exist anymore. What is it now? I don't know. It's not the point. Um, there are 4 orders you can give to each unit. There's move, hold, support, and convoy. Now, convoy is how you can get your units across bodies of water. However, if you write a convoy order for a unit, you cannot use that ship to do anything else. Ships are the only one that can convoy, obviously, and you cannot convoy a ship, which makes sense. The move order, each unit, whenever they're moving or holding, has a strength of 1. And that is why support orders will be useful. I'll explain them in a minute. You can only move 1 province per thingy. Or, oh goodness, this is a disaster. 1 province per move order. So, like, you can only go across 1, like, place. For example, like, you couldn't go from Sevastopol in Russia to Budapest in Austria. Not in 1 turn anyway. Over a period of turns, yes. Let's see. Support orders. So this is where the number of supports and stuff, the strength of a unit comes in. So each unit has a strength of 1, whether it be holding or moving. And let's see. My goodness, I'm losing my train of thought. This game haunts me, in and out of playing it. Oh, I'm really lost, to be honest. All right, support. You can only support into provinces that are adjacent to the supporting unit. Goodness. That being said, whoopsies. That being said, there are potential things that could happen in a game of diplomacy called a stalemate, and that means nobody can move or, like, get through a breakable wall. So, like, there are defensive positions you can take in diplomacy that are impossible to break, which is pretty nifty. I did, on my first ever diplomacy game, have that happen, and we sat at that table for, I think, 11 hours. So, that was really not fun. I will say. But I have convinced at least 3 people to like diplomacy, which is awesome. That's more people than I've ever convinced to play Risk with me, or Monopoly. And I've only ever had 1 full 7-player game. But it was very fun. I did enjoy it. I think I'm going to start wrapping up this episode, because we just did 9 minutes. Not like that really means anything, but I like to keep these kind of shorter because it's just kind of a review. I know it's not very interesting to hear me talk about reviewing a game. So, that being said, I will give diplomacy 4 green pears out of 4 green pears. As like a little rating. I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start rating things, but I don't know what I'm actually gonna use yet. Like there's out of 10 or stars or something. Today I'm using green pears. I love diplomacy, so I'm giving it 4 out of 4 green pears. And well, thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you all next time.
Thanks for listening to the Eagles and Airwaves podcast. You can find us on all the popular podcast platforms. Until next time, stay strong, Eagles.